The warlord system is quite the interesting concept. We have pirates with multiple different intentions being waived by the world government to do what they want, only for strength in return, to a certain extent. But anyways, they're so formidable that they were named one of the 3 great powers along with the Yonko and Navy. And in today's video, let's put one of our favorite characters up against the likes of these pirates. What's up guys, Russ's Gambler here, and in today's video, we'll be putting Sanji up against the former warlords of the sea in a gauntlet with rules yet to be established. To help me out, we have Ty Learned. You guys probably already know the guy, but if you don't, he drops a variety of content, so do make sure to check him out. His link will be in the description. But before that, if you enjoy One Piece versus battles like these, go ahead and subscribe. You'll get more videos and we'll both be happy. Before we get into the battles within this video, I think it would be productive to lay out the rules and what exactly Sanji will be doing today.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ty Learned. If you guys haven't seen my channel or heard of me, I do One Piece videos, and I guess I'm not as cool as Gambler, but you should check out my channel if you haven't. Anyway, we are going to be putting Sanji against the Warlords, and how we are going to go about it is basically have what we believe to be the weakest Warlords, and we'll have Sanji start from there and work his way up to the top. Now, I feel like I don't have to say this, but I'm just gonna say it for those who might comment this. No, the Warlords are not a tier of power that characters can reach. It's really not like the Admirals and Yonko, which already alone vary in power. These guys are just basically approved pirates by the government. So even if Sanji, let's say, stops at a certain character, we are still going to essentially have Sanji fight every Warlord regardless, just so you guys get an idea on how far Sanji could actually make it and what specific characters can actually stop him. As you will see later on in the video, that specific Warlords aren't as strong as Sanji, but could still probably beat him. With that being said, I hope you enjoy, and if you don't, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Obviously, like I always do, I gotta make sure to establish just how strong our contender is. Sanji is definitely a strong guy, being amongst the strongest in the Straw Hat crew, one of the wings of the Pirate King. We see in the Onigashima War that he was easily able to violate the likes of Queen, whom we see for ourselves take multiple hits from Big Mom. Queen is also an all-star, something attributed to his overall stats, mainly durability / toughness as he states himself. This means he scales above Ulti, who we see take not only a Thunder Bagara from Yamato, but a Mazer Cannon from Big Mom and still not be down for the count. In Sanji's case, he activates it for Jinbei and violates a character who scales above Ulti. Sanji's speed is insane as well, being able to Perception Blitz Queen. I actually recently saw a downplay on this feat, but let's actually put some thought into it. What makes this feat so great is the fact that Queen is able to receive Hybrid Marco in base. Queen gets into hybrid form and gets Perception Blitz by Sanji twice. Sanji can also amp his speed with different Jinbeis, so stop trying to make him sound like he's not fast. And finally, Sanji's durability is insane, being able to tank Durag to the face and break metal off his bare skin. And so with all this power set in stone, let's put this monster up to the test and see if it can succeed in these circumstances. For round 1, we have Moria. Moria is... what do we even say about this guy? Fun fact, actually, in his prime, he was clashing with the likes of Kaido. Now, I'm pretty sure this was Kaido like 3 years before he fought Oden, so this is a feat not to underestimate. The sad part about it is, Kaido defeated him, and it's implied that Kaido was the one who massacred his entire crew. And so when Moria lost, he fled back to Thriller Bark, and we get the bump that we see today. This Moria is a shadow of his former self. No kidding, his powers are literally shadows. But it's to a drastic extent, because we went from a Moria who could challenge Kaido to a guy who lost to pre-time skip Luffy. And that's the kicker. Warlord Moria is pre-time skip Luffy level. We see this in broad daylight during Marineford. He powered up against Jinbei. Jinbei looked at him and said, "Get out of my way." Punched his gut so hard he shrank in size and ignored him for the rest of the war. This is a pre-time skip Jinbei, and I don't think it's far-fetched to say that he didn't even use Haki. A current Sanji without Diablo Jinbei would probably one-shot Moria, and I don't think there's arguments otherwise. You could honestly give Moria all the shadows in the world, and a good kick from Sanji would make him throw it all up. I'm giving this a good no diff.
In round 2, we have Kuma, and Kuma is a fairly impressive character with weaker versions of him pressing the Straw Hats in pre-time skip, that being the pacifistas. And normal Kuma has not only portrayed relativity to that of Gecko Moria, but is more than likely stronger than him based on his interactions after the whole group jumps bro. However, we see after training for 2 whole years, Luffy and the other Straw Hats can dunk on what overcame them in the past. And we see Sanji and Zoro specifically like competing to try and one-shot one, implying they both can individually do it. And so with that, I think just a normal Collier shoot, especially the one in Wano, is more than enough to just one-shot Kuma outright.
No way I have to be the one to say this. Alright, whatever. For round 3, we have Boa. Guys, unfortunately, this is the biggest mismatch in the entire gauntlet. Sanji under, well, any circumstances is losing to Boa 10 out of 10 times. To refresh your memory, anyone who finds Boa attractive in any way and in any capacity is vulnerable to her ability, which turns you into stone. So that would include, well, the entire verse except for Luffy. This is obviously avoidable because we saw a Vice Admiral work against it by harming himself. But you know who else went against her ability? Sanji. Wait, actually, Sanji didn't even go against her ability. He looked at her and turned into stone right off the bat. This fight is just completely not fair. If this was a traditional gauntlet, Sanji would immediately stop right here. But the reason why he doesn't stop is because Boa's scaling. Yes, Boa would beat Sanji 10 out of 10 times, we already said this, but beyond all of that, Sanji completely scales above her. If I were to make a top 30 in the verse, Sanji would rank above her, but she'd still be high in the list because her hacks are so potent. But if Sanji had a way to stop being such a horny bastard, Boa's hacks would be ineffective. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna need y'all to let me cook. In chapter 1031, Sanji thinks about what can happen to his personality after he transforms. He says verbatim that there are 2 possibilities, a human side where he's useless against women, and another side that would turn him cold against anyone and easily defeat people like Queen. Now, if we let Sanji stay in this form for some time, he would eventually fall into the deep abyss that is German science, and alright, I probably lost you there, but yeah, Sanji loses.
He's as hard as a rock! Now, round 4, we have Weevil. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, Weevil is very 50-50. He either scales to Prime Whitebeard, or he's just a character with no feats who got beat up by Green Bull and Sanji just dunks on him. And usually feats over statements, and if Weevil were that strong, I feel like he wouldn't lose to someone like Green Bull. Unless you think every single Admiral is stronger than Prime Whitebeard, and you think old Whitebeard is equal to Prime Beard. I guess Weevil wins if you don't read, but yeah.
For round 5, we have Doflamingo. This matchup is actually funny to me because people are still saying Sanji hasn't surpassed this guy. Sadly, this just isn't the case. Doflamingo can be seen getting absolutely violated by Gear 4 Bounce Man in Dressrosa. This Luffy gets power clipped multiple times over. Reminder that as the Straw Hats go from island to island, they get a passive buff. So Luffy came from Dressrosa and went to Zou, then came from... I think you guys get the memo. Doflamingo is more relative to like Cracker, who's under Katakuri, who's around the same level as Queen, and Sanji is just a tier above that. Doflamingo has 0 chance against Sanji, and he would probably get Bliss and one-shotted.
Next up, we have Crocodile, my personal favorite warlord, and so because of this, I have to push my agenda. Crocodile equals Mihawk, who's top 1 currently, so he slams Sanji. I'm just kidding. Crocodile's scaling is super inconsistent, with him losing to Luffy in Alabasta to then getting blitzed by him in Gear 2, but then saves Gear 2 Luffy against Mihawk and takes a hockey-coated punch from Jozu, who has some of the highest attack potency amongst the Whitebeard crew. He also clashes with Doflamingo and believes he isn't inferior to him, so yeah, his scaling is just kind of all over the place. However, I feel like for someone like Sanji, this doesn't really matter, as you either think he's barely above pre-time skip Luffy, which Sanji would slam by the beginning of post-time skip, or you think he's equal to Doflamingo, which Sanji by Wano would just slam Doflamingo, or you think that Crocodile is like Yonko Commander tier and is scrapping with like Jozu and Marco. Gambler has already made a video as to why Marco would more than likely lose to Sanji. So no matter what interpretation you have for his scaling, Sanji at his peak would clear Crocodile, and consistently probably beginning of post time skip Sanji beats him as well. I personally am under the impression he's like around that pre-time skip year 2 level, but hey, that's just me.
More on that actually. Of course, it's super unclear how strong Crocodile is meant to be right now. We all know that Oda definitely introduced him way too early into the story, and so that's the reason he's back and still relevant to this day. Now, I personally am on the boat that thinks Crocodile is way stronger now for whatever reason Oda brings into the story, and I actually think he might fight Sanji in a Cross Guild versus Straw Hat fight. But yeah, Sanji gaps for now. For round 7, we have Jinbei. This is the last fight that comes relatively easy for Sanji and is against this fat ass bluefish. This guy's fans piss me off because there's people who actually believe this fish can hold a candle to the likes of Sanji or Yamato. He doesn't have the speed to hang with Sanji and he's getting burnt by Sanji's flames. His defense isn't a thing because he's getting blitzed. It's just kind of a mismatch. Sanji just truly is the better fighter and overall just way stronger. Jinbei has 0 win conditions because his fat ass wouldn't even be able to perceive him. This shouldn't be a debate and should have never been something people argue about.
Round 8, we got my goat Law, and yeah, Sanji, sorry bro, you're cooked. Law not only was one of the participants in the rooftop battle with Kaido and Big Mom and was giving them both a ridiculously hard time, and this is not taking into account that he gets stronger through awakening his devil fruit and would annoy the likes of Big Mom and Blackbeard, both Yonkos. Sanji's best feat is slamming the 2nd strongest all-star, and comparing this to anything Law has done, yeah, I'm sorry Sanji. Law just slices his legs and Sanji is just 2 pieces of himself for the rest of the series. I'm sorry, this man's getting turned into a chicken nugget.
Even worse, we have Mr. Fatass himself, Blackbeard. Now, Blackbeard's dark fruit abilities likely wouldn't work on Sanji like it would against devil fruit users, but it would still be very potent. The dark fruit still has the ability to pull people in, and the way we've seen him use it is insane. For example, against Ace, he pulled him in and immediately went in for a punch. This was pre-time skip Blackbeard, and now he has the Quake Fruit. Realistically, Sanji shouldn't be able to defeat a Yonko in any capacity. Of course, I think there is some room for some hits because of how Blackbeard fights and Sanji's top tier speed, but eventually, with enough off-screen hockey, Blackbeard should be able to take down... I can't say it, Ty, help me.
Blackbeard beats Sanji, guys. And round 10 is Mihawk, which obviously he's above him. What the hell? He's the strongest character in fiction. No, but it's pretty much for the same reasons as for Blackbeard, but it's a lot worse in this case. Mihawk is consistently said to be either a rival to Shanks or at the top of the New World in name and reality, meaning he scales above characters like the Yonko, who are obviously above Sanji. And Mihawk with legit 1 swipe of his sword is going to give us some free Fruit Ninja gameplay. Once again, Gambler, thank you for having me on the channel. Truly appreciate it. And guys, if you haven't seen my videos, I would very appreciate you guys go checking me out, please. This is all I got.
In conclusion, this was all a setup. If y'all know my friend tac.mp4, I literally told him in real life I would never let Sanji lose on my channel. And now look at this. I made him lose not once, but 3 times. This was a setup. And why the f is this crime track playing in the background? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely go check out Tyler's channel. He drops a variety of banger content. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.